Pompeii. The last morning stand in this street at dawn, and you have less than 24 hours left to live. You don't know that yet. Nobody does. The bread is baking. The wine is breathing in clay jars. And less than 5 miles away, a mountain that has slept for centuries is about to wake up screaming. This is Pompeii, in the late summer of the year 79, a prosperous Roman city of some 20,000 souls, built on the fertile slopes beneath a mountain the locals call Vesuvius. They do not fear it. Why would they? It has given them soil so rich that grapevines climb its lower flanks in endless green rows, and grain grows thick in the valley below. They call this coastline Campania Felix. Happy Campania. Blessed Campania. Before this day ends, that name will feel like the cruelest joke in human history. But right now, in these final hours, none of that has happened yet. Right now, it is simply morning, and Pompeii is waking up exactly as it always does. The first light touches the red-tiled roofs and slides down painted walls, the color of ochre and wine. Somewhere near the forum, a baker pulls the first loaves from a domed oven, still warm from the night before. The smell of it drifts into streets paved with volcanic stone, streets so worn by cartwheels that deep ruts groove the rock like scars. Slaves sweep doorsteps. Shopkeepers lift wooden shutters, revealing counters set into the walls, ready to sell wine, oil, hot food, to a city that eats mostly on the street. Pompeii is not a quiet place. It never has been. Mules bray. Vendors shout. Somewhere a dog barks at nothing in particular. This is a city built for living out loud, and this morning, it is doing exactly that. Walk a little further and the streets widen into the forum, the beating heart of the city, lined with temples to Jupiter and Apollo, their marble columns catching the early sun. Merchants are already arranging fish, olives, and pottery. A political slogan, painted in red the night before, still glistens on a wall. Someone campaigning for office, utterly unaware that in a matter of hours, no one running for anything in this city will ever hold office again. Pompeii is not one city. It is many, layered on top of each other. In the grand houses near the center, wealthy merchants and landowners rise in homes built around open courtyards where rainwater collects in shallow pools beneath a gap in the roof. The walls here are covered in frescoes so vivid, they still stop visitors cold 2,000 years later. Deep reds, hunting scenes, gods and lovers frozen mid-gesture. In one of the largest private homes in the entire Roman world, a mosaic on the floor depicts a great battle, laid stone by hands that have been dust for 1,000 years before this morning even began. But walk 2 streets over, and the city changes completely. Here are the cramped apartment blocks where the poor and the enslaved live, stacked on top of one another, where a single room might hold a family of 6. Here is the amphitheater, one of the oldest in the Roman world, where 20,000 people once packed in to watch gladiators fight. This is a city with a temper. A city that knows how to fight, how to celebrate, how to survive scandal. What it does not know is how to survive what is coming. And overlooking all of it, the temples, the villas, the tenements, the amphitheater, stands the mountain. Green, peaceful, utterly deceptive. For days now, there have been small tremors. Nothing unusual. This is, after all, earthquake country. Nearly 2 decades earlier, a massive quake tore through the region, cracking temples, toppling statues, forcing years of rebuilding that, in some corners of the city, still isn't finished. Scaffolding still leans against a few damaged walls this very morning. The people of Pompeii have grown almost used to the ground shifting beneath them. They rebuild. They move on. It is simply the price of living somewhere this fertile, this beautiful. What they cannot know is that these tremors are not random. They are the mountain's pulse quickening. Deep beneath Vesuvius, pressure has been building for who knows how long. Magma forcing its way upward through a plug of rock that has held for perhaps a millennium. That plug is failing. And when it fails completely, it will not fail quietly. By midday, something changes. Wells that have supplied water for generations begin running strange. Animals grow restless. And then, sometime in the early afternoon, the top of the mountain simply opens. Witnesses miles away across the bay describe what happens next as a shape like a great pine tree, a trunk of black smoke shooting miles into the sky, then spreading wide and flat at the top. In Pompeii itself, there is no time to marvel at it. Within minutes, the sky begins to darken at midday, as though someone is slowly closing a curtain over the sun. Then it starts to rain, not water, stone. Pumice, light and porous, falls first in scattered pieces, then in a relentless gray hail that thickens by the hour. Roofs groan under the weight. Some collapse outright, crushing whoever is still sheltering beneath them. The streets fill ankle deep, then knee deep, then waist deep in volcanic debris. People flee, some clutching jewelry, coins, a favorite piece of pottery, small treasures grabbed in panic that will mean nothing in a few hours. Others simply run, choosing speed over possessions, heading for the city gates and the road to the sea. For those who leave early, this is the right choice. For those who wait, believing this is simply a violent storm that will pass, as storms always eventually do, the choice will be fatal. Through the afternoon and into the night, the pumice keeps falling. Families huddle in their homes, some retreating to upper floors as the debris piles against their doors. In grand villas and in cramped rooms above the shops near the forum, people wait out the storm the only way they know how, together in the dark, breathing air thick with ash and sulfur. By the deep hours of the night, the eruption changes character, and this change is the one that truly matters. The column of ash and gas rising above the volcano becomes too heavy for the sky to hold. It begins to collapse back down on itself, not falling as scattered debris anymore, but rushing down the mountainside as a superheated cloud of gas, ash, and rock, moving faster than any person could ever outrun. It reaches the nearby coastal towns first, sealing them almost instantly. Then, in the hours before dawn, a series of these surges finally reaches Pompeii itself. For those who have survived a full night of falling stone, believing the worst might be over, this is the true end. It arrives not as fire, but as heat and darkness moving together, filling every street, every doorway, every room, in moments. The bodies we find centuries later, curled together, arms shielding faces, are not caught mid-scream. They are caught mid-breath, a final involuntary gesture against something no human body was ever built to survive. By the time the sun rises again over Campania Felix, Pompeii no longer exists as a city. It exists as a shape beneath the ground, a city-sized silhouette buried under nearly 20 feet of ash and stone. So completely hidden that within a generation most people forget precisely where it once stood. The mountain that gave this land its extraordinary fertility has taken back everything it once offered, and more. And then, for nearly 1,700 years, Pompeii simply waits. Farmers till soil above it, never guessing what lies beneath their feet. Then, centuries later, workers digging wells and canals start striking walls, coins, fragments of painted plaster. Slowly, deliberately, archaeologists begin peeling back centuries of ash, and what they find beneath is almost impossible to comprehend. A Roman city frozen at the exact moment of its final morning. Bread still in ovens. Graffiti still on walls. And most hauntingly of all, hollow spaces in the hardened ash where human bodies once lay, later filled with plaster to reveal the final postures of the dead, preserved down to the folds of their clothing. Pompeii did not disappear. It was preserved, sealed so completely that its final morning survived intact for us to walk through, nearly 2,000 years later. The bakery ovens, the painted walls, the worn ruts in the stone streets, all of it still there, still telling the story of a single ordinary morning that became one of the most extraordinary days in human history. And yet, despite the ash, despite the fire, despite everything the mountain took that day, the city survived, not as a living place, but as a message. A warning frozen in time about how quickly an ordinary morning can become the last one. History never truly disappears. Sometimes it simply waits to be uncovered. If this journey through Pompeii's final hours moved you, consider subscribing for more cinematic history brought back to life. And let us know in the comments, which lost city or forgotten moment in history should we bring back to life next?